Chief Director Corporate Services, Advocate Yawa, the members of the PEXCO, Provincial EXCO that are here, also our host, the DDLCO, Ms. Mbunge, also colleagues from head office and other provinces, provincial office staff that is here, especially the UIF colleagues, our local office, as I said, our hosts and colleagues from Komani Labour Center, media houses that are here, and our esteemed guests, the employers. Good morning. Colleagues, this is the Commissioner's Breakfast Session, an opportunity and a platform for the Commissioner to address the employers of this region across all sectors. If we see here, we've got the employers for all from all the sectors. We've got wholesale and retail, we've got tourism, we've got agric, and so forth. So this is the opportunity for the Commissioner to address all UIF-related matters across all sectors. And also, this is your opportunity, colleagues, as well, you, the employers, to discuss your challenges that you are encountering in UIF operations and also in terms of compliance as well. Another opportunity for you, colleagues, to get information on compliance matters. And also, I think Mr. Ramazete has given a small platform for you to engage outside if there are any pressing matters that need attention. We have a desk outside for you just to quickly address your issues.
Round of applause. By the way, he's also a pastor. So you are welcome to also put out your tithes to us. We'll send them later. Right, Advocate, thank you.
I can see that pastors have done a good job because they've got those who are already telling us to do things that we should do. Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, people of the Eastern Cape, particularly in this region, Komani. Warm welcome and warm greetings to you. Protocol observed, the Chief Director of Provincial Operations, and the head of the unit where we are now. Of course, the Program Director, who are in able hands, and all of us, good morning. I think the presentation is on the wall. I may not run all of it because some of the items shall be covered by the other colleagues in the program, and other items will become more clearer. Also in the space of questions and clarities. But what we want to cover is to make you aware, not that you don't know, what is the value chain of UIF, how do we go about doing our business. Part of our reason we're doing that is not so much to say to you we are adequate, but also to get feedback from you that what about this and what about that, particularly that you are the experiencers of our offerings. We design, we think, and you are the ones where the shoe may be biting, and you can have a suggestion or two, so we'll give you that opportunity. We've got UIF key delivery channels that we use as we deliver our services. We shall speak to you on that. The one I want to speak more on is the UIF compliance drive, because if I notice the program well, our colleagues who are doing a super job in that space are in the program, so they will talk on that. Labor activation program is means by which, because as you know now, we are no longer the Department of Labor, we're the Department of Employment and Labor. So the labor activation program is aimed at kickstarting, igniting, and putting it back to action matters of activation in having new business people, entrepreneurs, and people who can think on how we can tackle the these triplets of unemployment, inequality, and poverty through lasting job opportunities, which we can fund if you come with the ideas. So that's what the labor activation program is about. ICT interventions, we are this is what now, 5th industrial revolution. Some people saying it's fourth, but I was told by those who know that we're already into the fifth. So we want to use technology as one of the mechanisms through which we must ease our business, even your own convenience and so on. So literally that's what UIF is about. As I said, I may skip some of the items, but we've got a vision. And our vision is to be a caring, accessible, and customer-centric. That's why the program director was already saying, who are your entry people in this province, in this area? Because we want to be an accessible, customer-centric organization which is aimed at reversing poverty. And our vision, our values is transparency. That's why we're here with you. We're not hiding, not praising ourselves in the corner there. And as you said, we will welcome feedback. Where we're not doing well, we take that as constructive criticism. We don't want destructive criticism. We've been destroyed a lot. Some of us are coming from some history in this country which was destructive, so we don't want an addition. We're sensitive to destruction. But if you're constructive in saying what about, we welcome that with really all the arms. Our mission is through multiple channels. We want to provide the insurance benefits and improve coverage for people who are existing to service, which is vulnerable people, and people who are contributors to UIF. So multiple channels, hence we shall talk about ICT interventions and ICT creativities, because we're trying to make it as accessible as you can imagine. We do make people make the applications in the comfort of their home or in the nearest place where they are, not necessarily going to a labor center, as much as we've got lots of labor centers and they're doing a sterling job. With whatever other difficulties, but we choose to lift the positive and without denying the negative. But we don't want to celebrate the negative in the face of the positive. We're trying to run life in norms than in exceptions. Where by an exception we didn't do right, we don't want to start to make our life an exception. Our life remains the norm, and our norm is that we want to service you people, our people, which we exist because of. So in the value chain, then you'll see there that there's registrations, which is where, in terms of the Act, those companies that are establishing themselves and they employ people, we encourage that they must register those people. I think there's a 1%, which is a very small amount. It's been 1% for a long time now. I see that they're saying the Reserve Bank governor, there's hopes of interest rates, they go up, they go down. Even petrol on Wednesday, you tend to know that every Wednesday you open your ears very sharply because the petrol may go down or go up, those kinds of things. Our 1% has been 1% from as far as I've come to know. But then in that registration, you register your people that we shall have employed. You keep us alert as to whether they're still in your registration. Some of them may have resigned, some of them may have retired, some of them this and the other. Keep us in the loop so that we know how we should condition ourselves to service your people. So you become the mechanisms through which we receive those contributions by or before the 7th day of each month. Make sure that all the deposits are there. One section that we have avoided, and one time Auditor General will come on us, is where, according to the Act, if you did not pay over those contributions by or before the 7th day of each month, then it attracts interest. And you must start to pay it now with interest. I fear a day where Auditor General will say, if we compute what you should have collected, when we look into when people paid, or those who did not pay at all, and they should have paid. We do get situations where employers deduct money from workers, and they don't pass it on. I'm not saying yeah, I'm just saying generally. We read a case where even for pensions, and it's not here, I'm just talking so that those of us who are in that space must pass the word that do things right and do them for the good of what they are meant to be. So they collect these pensions. Pension is one thing that when you get a certain age, when you're no longer even that active, your life has since moved on, you can no longer be generating as much income as you possibly could have in your youth. So depending then on whatever you may have made as savings, now you get to situations in some respects where the employer who in your payslip fooled you into believing that they were deducting and passing on. That they simply deducted, but they never passed on. Even with UIF, it does happen. People come to our spaces because now they deserve to receive whatever they contributed. And somewhere, it turns out that in some respects, money was never passed on. We want to urge employers, even your organizations and your setups, talk to each other. It's just so noble to pass. It's a small amount after all. And it's such a beautiful thing when somebody at the time they're in a corner, that which you contributed towards, they are able to get the benefit of. So that registration is quite critical. Those declarations is the one I'm talking about every before the 7th day of each month. Those contributions and the claims, of course, then as we say, at some point people must claim. They will claim when they shall have lost their job. Then there's a method and a formula in the Act, how much they shall have been entitled to, and then we make payments there. Yes, we do struggle a bit, and these technological improvements are aimed at making us pace up in giving the money at the time that is required. The Labour Activation Program is the one I said at the start that we do put money. The former Minister of Labour, Mr. Tulas Nwesi, around about April or until about April, thereabout, we launched across the country. Even in this province, we were in East London. The CDPO hosted us there, and the Premier of this province was there. Our Minister was there, and every other people, maybe some of you here, were in that base, where we launched across the country 333. I almost said 1,000 because we're used to big things, but it was 100 now. 333 projects, and I think we're coming close to about 14 billion. And that's the money we are able to get from their registrations. You're passing over the contributions, and of course we invest those monies wisely so that they generate money. And in the course of that, we employ those monies in projects where we say, come with an idea. What idea do you think of that can create jobs, that can make people to be out of streets into employment? And there's a committee, I'm told it's in this province now, to do some things. We call it the Labour Adjudication Committee. They look into the proposals, those that make sense, they recommend that they be funded. And they tend to be funded at good amounts. And those who would do that, they do also get some bit of benefit. So those are the Labour activation programs. Allow me to jump to the slide that just says UIF, but still it is summarizing it. We've always made this point that when we say UIF is a creature of statute, you'll notice that we tend to sometimes write it such that we see whether you know or not. It's informed by an act, a 2001 act, and as we're saying, it's self-funded. The self-funding is really self-funded in the sense that you are funding UIF. As workers and employers, that 1%, it funds it. And our balance sheet is a healthy balance sheet. Some during the time when this country was facing the most rampant of corruption, they were busy knocking at our door because they are quite aware that we've got some billions. And of course, we refuse to accede to that because it's your money. It's money meant for the workers during tough times. You know, we had COVID, where everybody had to stay at home, not work. And as you know, no work, no pay, whether there's a strike or not. You didn't go to work, then why should I pay you? But during those periods, UIF came to the shore, and about 64 billion or thereabout was paid to people who've been contributing over the years. And because the money was well invested and kept and grown, then we're able to pay 64 billion without breaking the bank, if I should use the term. So it is self-funded through these collections and contributions. We pay benefits, as we said, when times come, and the colleagues will explain more. Somebody was saying, if I'm in a job that is a little bit shaky, can I claim? I said, no, you must claim once you are not in a job. That the job is shaky, one day with this, those things do happen, but you're in a payroll, you can't claim. The lab is what I've already somewhat explained, but let me talk it a bit when we have got those headings. When we talk about temporary employee relief scheme, in that one we're saying to business, particularly the employers, if when you run your business, you are running aground, experiencing some difficulties before you close it, make a contact with us and say my business is struggling and I would like to keep it. And then through this temporary relief schemes, which we administer through the CCMA. The CCMA, you don't only go there. You don't only go there when there's dismissals and those kinds of things. You also can go for this application that my company is distressed, it's facing a closure, I'm not able to meet my obligations, which may render me closing it and then therefore unemployment. We're trying to avoid unemployment. So you make a proposal and we send our own experts. Some of them are from Productivity South Africa, which is an entity of the Department of Employment and Labor, to then make a business turnaround plan with you and submit it to that structure. If that plan passes, then we make a contribution towards sustaining your business, keeping it afloat. I think we even pay your salaries up to about 75%. We take care of that, we relieve you because you are under stress. So it benefits to contribute, as we're talking about contributions, because in those moments it becomes such a handy thing. Of course, in the enhancement of employability is what we said, the entrepreneurship and so on and so forth, that there, even the 333 jobs that projects that I talked about across the country, they are aimed at enhancing employability through training and offering of employment opportunities. And that's why we're saying that we then want your wisdom, we want your entrepreneurial skills and everything else to make us see what we could have done. You know, the minister used to ask a question. I can't remember this country in Africa where instead of the gravel roads, they put whether it's bricks or whatever else as their road access roads, and they were saying they were lasting far longer than even sometimes the tarred road. And now, if you were to then decide on that, and the bricks are made by yourselves or your entrepreneurs, in the course of laying the bricks, you put employment opportunities to people around here, then at least you got eseziko, so, you know, enterprise development is part of what we do. Of course, economic development is one of the overall that we're aimed at. But once our economy develops, then poverty is reversed and our lives are far better than they would have been. Part of our immediate things that we do now for this year, because we tend to have our year having certain focuses so that we keep ourselves on the run. We want to have employer-driven claims management models, where yourselves, you manage the thing. How do you make it such that it is convenient? Part of what we're thinking is that if it were to be the employer who would have registered their employees, as I said, who would have passed on the contributions, as I said, it would be even more nicer if it was the employer who then says, UIF, this employee of mine deserves to get the benefits because either they have lost the job now or they are on maternity or whatever else. During COVID, we saw, because that's a model we used, employers applied for their employees. And we dealt with thousands, if not millions, of employees. But those millions were in the hands of fewer employers. It made communication smoother, because you can imagine if we're dealing with individual employees during that crisis, when millions are out of employment. Even our call center could never cope with that, because each one of them wants to know how far is my claim, how far is my claim. Our labor centers, 126 or whatever the number is, could equally not cope. But when we then said, you know, let's have employers, those of you in 2010 who may have attended one or two of the matches, they would make you, each one of us would drive in our cars and then say, but up to this point. Then we leave our cars, all of us, we get to a bus, because in the car it would have been 2 of us or 5 of us, but in the bus it would be 60 or 80 of us. And if they've got those bigger buses that are also having that thing, I don't know, that connect, you find that it's double that number. But you are able to just count, let's say, 5 buses. But in counting 5 buses, you're already counting close to whatever number of hundreds of people. It's the same method that if employers who tend to be fewer than the employed were to be the ones who make the claims, the system would move faster. So those are some of the things we're having, that an employer-driven claims management process. A straight-through processing also is the one we say you know what, instead of making you have many stops, let's just have the side of it from A to Z of the running of the thing. Of course, we want to have a clean audit. That one is our internal, with our accounting structures in terms of the act is Auditor General in the country, so that we can be running the money properly and not using the money in manners that we please. First time resolution, we just like to touch it once and that's done. A friend of mine, I don't know if he's still in this province, he was in our inspectorate. He used a term that in the construction industry, there's a term that says as you build, touch the brick once. Because those guys, they count the bricks and they know the cost of building. So if you take a whole number of bricks from this corner to that other corner, yet you needed 5, and now you must still take them again to this other corner. They say the risk of you breaking the bricks in the process is high, and you may make this building far costlier than it would have been. So they say touch the brick once, go according to the measures. In the same way here, we want to touch a resolution, the first touch, the first time, and those are the processes for improvement. In greater self-services, we said that there must be a way where you can monitor. In the ICT thing, maybe I will not go through that by the slides because it's interconnected. We have got what we call USSD. USSD, I don't know the full name now, that is an acronym. But it is a system where in your cell phone, whatever the cell phone, it's not smartphones or phones of a particular caliber, any phone, you are able, if you have put a claim there, to check how far the status of it, without driving all the way or taking taxis or whatever methods of driving and then faint in our queues, because there are many of you in the queue and we don't have room as big enough to have all of you comfortably seated as we're servicing you. So you end up fainting there because it's too sunny, or you get wet because it's raining. But you say, in the convenience of your time, just with the cell phone in your hand, press this and the other, and then you get to know how far we are. I don't see it in the boards, maybe it's here. What are the numbers? There it is, next to just in the that there's USSD there. It tells you dial this 134 whatever else, and then in no time it tells you that it is here and it is there, because we're aimed at the convenience to yourselves. Program director, I think will have really overdriven if I start to talk on our labor center setup. I think that one can always come clearer as we go. The UIF compliance colleagues are here. I think they will be able to speak to that. I think on the key things, my mind is saying, at least I've passed the message. We are here, we're going to take questions, comments and clarities, and anything else. This presentation can be availed so that those who are, some of us are scholars, if I should use the term, and some of us even with nice age, it becomes nicer to read it on my own. So we'll avail the presentation so that on your own you can read through, but generally it summarizes it in this manner that I have said. Allow the program director to abuse the platform. When we talk about the innovations, when we talk about self-reliance tables, as these tables are very nicely set up, but we know that people who are thinkers, people who are creative, in the course of us drinking Coke or lifting some glasses here and so on, their mind is running like this, and before we know, they are going to throw a proposal to us. As you ask questions here, they are not into the defense, they are into the solution mode. Then in no time they make a proposal. What about doing this in the system? What about doing this in the system? So they came to do that. There are some 2 projects in our SEP, which is ICT, that they have come up with. And I would like to just call them to the front, that we acknowledge them, appreciate them. And of course, I've got a nice tie, so I'll take a picture with them. And I'll invite the CDPO and the leader of this province, of this area, and maybe whoever else to just take a pic with us, and then I give back to you, Program Director. Thank you very much.
I did promise, and I said that we will make up for the time because we will fly at very high speed. It's exactly 10 o'clock now, as per the program. We will break for tea and we'll come back at 20 minutes after tea. Is the tea ready, colleagues? Just another important announcement that I need to make, colleagues, is that you'll see that there are people going around with cameras.
Tell us, once I look very good and them all, take the picture.
Miss out or forget anything related to compliance. Start, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. The CDPO, the PC, the Office of the Mayor, the directors, the colleagues that are here, I greet you all. Spamela Kumete from the Unemployment Insurance Fund, the Compliance Unit. I'm just going to take you through a small presentations, and then from there we can be able to go over the questions. I will cover some of the value chain. The previous speaker has covered that. I will touch on the benefits, compliance, our contact details, and then closure. The value chain, basically the UIF, we collect contributions and we pay benefits. Everything that happens, it happens in between. And then from them, I will then be taking you through what is it that you need to do at the point of your registration, AMA declarations, and the works. On the next slide, as a UIF, maybe I will spend some time, especially on this slide. As a UIF, we've got a number of our benefits, meaning that I will speak to you as an employee in the company so that you can understand that when I work and I am registered and I am contributing, that means automatically I am exposed to this benefit. The first one, I am working and my employer is deducting 1% and it's been contributed through to UIF. That means as soon as I lose employment, I'm able to claim the UIF benefit. What is losing employment? Because anyone will say, no, I can go to get UIF even if I resign or if I abscond at work and all of that. Once you lose employment, I sign a contract, the contract comes to an end, and then the employer is not renewing my contract or I'm not receiving new employment from somewhere else, then automatically that means I'm able to claim for a UIF and I'm going to be paid. You'll pick up that I'm on a contract, it comes to an end. My employer is not renewing it or I am not receiving another form of employment, the UIF will come through. If I lose employment today and I go and I get another employment tomorrow, there is no need for me to come to the UIF because the UIF is an insurance. It only comes through when you do not have income coming through. Someone is going to ask me, what happens to my money? Because you'll ask that question. Remember, we will collect contributions from you. And these contributions, every time when we collect, the only time we'll come through to pay you our benefit is when you do not have any source of income. Then you are able to come through and claim the benefit. What about when I go on retirement? Yes, when you retire, you come through to the UIF because that means after that you are not having any other source of income or form of employment. What if I'm being dismissed by my employer? It's my employer that says, I don't have work for you anymore. I'm letting you go. Whether it's a dismissal or retrenchment, then the UIF will come through. But if the employer had to let you go because you absconded or because you did something wrong, the employer will let us know and we are not going to pay. If you resign voluntarily, Let us say you are saying, no, employer, I'm leaving, I'm resigning, and there is nothing wrong. There is nothing wrong that has happened. You just decided out of nowhere to resign. You are not going to get a UIF. We don't give people that have resigned voluntarily. Why am I saying voluntarily? Because there is a resignation that is called a constructive dismissal, whereby you take your employer to CCMA, and if you win the case at CCMA, but you still decide to resign, then we are going to pay, because it's no longer a normal resignation. Then it's possible that maybe you are not happy. Sometimes you'll pick up that I was not happy with my employer, therefore I decided to do this. This can be a lot of things. We also have got a process where you are able to lodge appeals with whatever decision, so that you can be able to then go through the appeals process, and the appeals committee that you have, they are going to make a decision based on that. I will explain that how many months or how much time you are given to claim and how to calculate and all of that on the next slide. Illness. I've not been well for 7 days or more, and I'm not receiving income from my employer while I am off sick. Then the employer will have to declare that to the UIF that Tukumete was not receiving income for this period because of illness. You come through to the UIF, you claim a benefit, it will be paid through to you. Reduced working time. My employer has reduced the number of hours that I work, and then that even affects my income that I'm receiving. The employer must declare that with the UIF, so that you can be able to pay out the reduced working hours while you are still employed. Maternity. She needs to go on maternity leave. Sooner or later, we will not be saying she needs to go, because sooner or later we'll be saying either he or she needs to go on maternity leave. I will explain as to why I'm saying that. You need to take maternity leave the 4 months, and when you are on maternity leave, the UIF, if you are not receiving your income from your employer, or you are not receiving 100% of what is due to you, you are able to come through to UIF and claim the maternity benefit. It's going to be paid at a flat rate of 66% of the last average salary for the last 6 months, and it will be paid for a period of 4 months. If you are not receiving any income from your employer or not receiving 100%. Why am I saying he or she? It's because there has been a decision that maternity leave does not only have to be taken by mothers. So that means now we are moving to a space where if my partner has got a child, we are able to divide the maternity leave into 2, to say, when as a mother, you can take the first 2 months, me as a father, I will take the other 2 months. There's a decision that has been made around that, and sooner or later, we will be moving towards that direction. Secondly, marriages are moving away from male and female. Now, male and male are able to get to a point where they need to apply for the maternity leave. So the world is changing, and we need to change as such. Parental leave, there is a 10 days currently. If my partner is having a child, as a father, I've got access to ask for 10 days as leave from my employer. If my employer is not paying me for those days, the UIF will have to then pay me in terms of not using the necessary percentages in terms of calculating benefits. Adoption. I'm adopting a child 2 years or younger, and while I'm going through that process, I am not receiving income from my employer. Then the employer will declare that with the UIF, and I am going to claim so that I can be able to be paid. Lastly, dependence benefit or death benefit. In an unfortunate event that I, as somebody that's working, pass on, the beneficiaries that I've left behind, they are able to claim a death benefit as a result of that. Now, how is a death benefit claimed? Firstly, there is a list of beneficiaries that we as the UIF will expect at the point of claiming. Firstly, if I'm the person that has passed on, which is something that God must forbid, firstly, my surviving life partner must be able to come through to claim. A life partner, the first person will be somebody that I might have been married to, and if there are documents as proof of that, then the funds will be facilitated and they will be paid. If there is nobody in that role of a spouse with a marriage certificate, then anyone that fits the definition of a life partner, as long as they can come through with the documents and proof, they can be able to claim and the monies will be dispersed. If there was nobody, no life partner, no spouse, no whatever, my children, let's still stick there just once. My children will then be able to come through. Children, if they are below the age of 25, there must be proof that they were depending on me financially while I was alive. Monies will be processed and divided amongst them. If they are above the age of 25, there must be students at an educational institution and there must be proof that they were depending on me for monies to be paid. Lastly, if there is no spouse, there are no children, we also have got a nomination system now. It's a new nomination form where while I'm still alive, I'm able to nominate. In the case where I pass on, the funds from UIF needs to be distributed to this individual. Please note though, however, that nomination form becomes the last in terms of priority, meaning that we will first expect a partner, a life partner or children. If there are no children, then we'll go to the level of the form. Next slide. Now, we give you 12 months within which to come and claim. If I lose employment today, UIF give me 12 months to come and claim. If you do not come within 12 months in terms of claiming, you are not going to access your benefits, but you are not going to lose them. Not going to lose them means if you are still able to go and get another employment, at the time when you come back, we will still look at the fact that you were supposed to claim at a certain time and you couldn't. But that will depend on a time period, because when we calculate UIF benefit, we look at the last 4 years of your working life and we convert it into a benefit and we pay it out. So at the point when you come and claim, we will look at your activity in the last 4 years, and whatever took place in the period will be taken into consideration. 18 months in case of a death. If I pass on, my beneficiaries will be given 18 months to come through and claim. If within the 18 months they do not come through and claim, then the children will be given the additional 14 days after that. In the absence of that, then the form will then come through around how or who do we pay. How much do we calculate? We will look at the last 4 years of your activity or working life, and we take that, we convert it into a benefit, and it will be paid out on a sliding scale between 38% up to 60%, and then we are then going to, as soon as you come through to claim, we look at how long have you worked. If it was more than 4 years, we take the 4 years, we approve it, and it will be paid to you per month up until the funds run out or up until you get new employment. Because if you are receiving UIF and you get new employment in the middle, there is no need for you to go back to UIF and carry on receiving, because UIF is insurance. It comes through when you do not have income. Let's move to the next slide. Now, all of these things that I'm speaking to is only possible if employers are submitting their information. There is no employee that can register themselves with UIF. Even if I know that I'm working for the company, I cannot just go to UIF and say, UIF, please register me, I'm working for XYZ. No, it's the employer that needs to come to the UIF and register. Now, what is an employer? On the next slide, what is an employer? Once I've got somebody working for me for a period of 24 hours or more in a month, and that person is receiving income from that process, I am an employer. It does not matter whether I was wearing a suit when I was employed or I was employed on the street. As long as when we calculate the number of hours and it's 24 hours or more in a month, and from that process there is going to be a form of payment, that means automatically there is an employer-employee relationship in place. And that means there needs to be a registration with the UIF. Then the question is, does that mean everyone in the country that is working needs to be, they need to be registered? There are 3 types of people in the country that are working that do not have to be registered with the UIF. The first person, if I do have an employee, but in a period of a month, they work less than 24 hours, that means then the UIF will not cover that form of an employee because it must be 24 hours or more. Secondly, if there is an employee but the only source of income of this employee is commission, as the UIF we do not cover commission earners because that means we do not have a basic salary in terms of calculating the percentage. The third type of employee that we will exclude will be our politicians, whether it's members of parliament, councillors and so forth, they are not covered. But the rest of the other employees, irrespective of their nationality, irrespective of how much they are getting paid, irrespective of on which days they work, as long as they fall into the category that I just touched on, they have to be registered with the UIF. You register, you'll be allocated a UIF reference number, which is going to be the primary key or the primary ID on our system, and every time when you need to communicate with us, it's going to be used as an identifier. Once you have registered, you then declare. You declare employees. I've employed Mr. Kumete. He started on this day. This is his ID, initials, and surname. He earns so much per month, and this is the period that he has worked. That becomes the very critical thing, or that is where we struggle as the compliance people, because employers are employed, employers are registered with the UIF, but they do not declare employees. Sometimes I'll pick up that you've got a Kumete that was employed in 2015, and the last time you declared was 2015, you have never declared him any time up until today. That means we do not know if this person is still working for you, we do not know how much they are earning now, we do not know when you pay bonuses, we do not know when you adjust salaries, we do not know whether there was any maternity leave, anything. There is no movement. And then as a result, that means at the time when the person loses employment and they need to come through to the UIF and claim, we are not in a position to process claims as quick as we want, because information from the UIF, information for the UIF from you as the employer is missing. So we will have employers on our system and they will be there, but when we pick up declarations in terms of who are your employees, employers are not submitting that information. When do you declare? When are you expected to declare? Firstly, based on legislation, you are expected to declare your employees every month. That is the first point, which means every month you submit that I still have got Mr. Kumete working for me and earning so much and so forth. Then if you are still in the SME sector, the small to medium enterprises or domestic employer, you can still declare every time there is a change in the nature of employment or once a year. What is the change in nature of employment? Firstly, once a person is employed, they must be declared. Once they are being terminated, they must be declared. They are going on retirement, declare that. They pass on, declare that. You are moving the person from this branch to another branch, declare it. You are paying a bonus, declare it. You are adjusting a salary, declare it. Which means every time there is a change in this nature of employment, please declare with the UIF. Once you have declared, as I close, Once you have declared, you need to then deduct 1% from the gross remuneration of the employee on a monthly basis, meaning that you will then calculate how much is each employee receiving. Then we will then calculate 1% which will be deducted from that remuneration of the employee on a monthly basis. Those employees or those employers that are registered with SARS for pay-as-you-earn purposes, because they've got employees earning above the SARS threshold, that means they will register with SARS for pay-as-you-earn, and effectively from the liability date, which is the date where you employ the first employee earning above the SARS threshold, your contributions, your UIF contributions of both the employees that are registered with SARS for pay-as-you-earn and for those that are not, those contributions will be made at SARS. Then, for employers that are not registered with SARS for pay-as-you-earn because they don't have employees earning above the SARS threshold, that means their contributions will be made directly to the UIF. Further to that, we've got a contribution ceiling, 17,712 rands. If I'm earning 20,000, my employer will declare that I am earning 20,000 rands. But when it's time to calculate contributions, 1% will not be calculated on 20,000. It's going to be calculated on 17,712, and then that is what will be expected to be deducted from the employees. And also, as the employer, you make the contributions, and those contributions will then be made directly to SARS, and also directly through UIF for those that are earning below the SARS threshold. The due date for submission of contributions and also submission of declarations, it's the 7th every month. And if by the 7th you have not submitted declarations or made contributions, that is where we start charging you interest and penalties on unpaid contributions. Submission of contributions at SARS does not mean that since you are making contributions at SARS and also submitting ID numbers, it does not mean that means you have declared with the UIF. You'll pick up that when I was speaking to registration and declaration, I did not touch SARS. I only touched SARS when I was speaking about contributions, meaning that employers need to understand that at the time when I register a business, if I need to register with SARS, I will go there for tax and pay-as-you-earn purposes. But over and above that, because I have employed employees, I also need to register with the UIF. And then once I'm registered with the UIF, my UIF number and my pay-as-you-earn number will be linked on the UIF system. I will then submit employee declarations with the UIF for all my employees. And then contributions, because I'm registered for SARS for pay-as-you-earn, contributions for all my employees will be made at SARS. So we need to be clear in terms of drawing that line so that we don't find ourselves contributing anywhere we like. It's a legislation matter that is how things are supposed to be. I think on the next slide is our phone number. Yes, these are our contact details where you can be able to communicate with us should you have any questions and queries. And we are still here for you to be assisted in anything relating to the UIF and compliance. Thank you so much, MC.
Okay. I hope this is you being amazed at what he just asked us. What he just presented to us. Okay, I'm going to open the floor for questions. I'm sure the buzz is about the many questions you have for us. I note you number one. Colleagues, can I have microphones on the floor, please? I note you number one. Are there any? I note you number two, sir. I I note you number 3, ma'am. In that order, let's start with the apostle here, and please no ties, just the mic.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I've got just 2 questions. You still talk about a period of 4 years where you check in terms of your contribution and your movement with your employment. I'm asking, beyond 4 years, you forfeit the years beyond 4 years, you forfeit the whole amount. Second question, if someone didn't make a nomination in terms of beneficiary, so they must just visit the office, and then you can deliberate what actions to take. In that case, it doesn't have a spouse, no children, but didn't make any nomination form. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Apostle. Gentleman with the spectacles here, that's number 2. Yes? The one raising his hand.
Morning, everyone. There is a part whereby I'm not sure whether I've captured you very well or what, but on the part whereby I've got my kids that I haven't been supporting maybe financially, but nonetheless they are my kids and they are not attending any institution of higher learning. I'm not sure how you said it, but in terms of their beneficiation to my UIF, that is my money that is there on the UIF, how are they going to be assisted if ever there is no documentation that is occupying that thing of saying that I've been supporting them financially, nor they are attending any institution of higher learning? Because these things happen, you see, we have these employments and we become runaway fathers whereby we work, and then when we get paid we try to assist these assistant mothers to these kids of ours. And now I really need to get a clear answer on that one. How are they going to be assisted? There is no documentation, that suggests that I've been supporting them financially. They are not attending any institution of higher learning, but nonetheless they are my kids. And another request that I'm having after that one, can you please avail on this presentation of yours, because I think that it's needed. Can you please avail it maybe via our emails that we've submitted to the ladies at the front? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. The lady with the spectacles on the far right-hand side.
Okay, thank you, sir. I have one question. When you are claiming UIF, when do you get to that your claim to be rejected? If you are a previous employer, now that you are claiming, then your claim gets rejected. I want to understand what's the problem in terms of the claim. What should be done to get the claims to be approved? Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone. I just want to ask a question with regards to the delinquents. You have mentioned that obviously there would be penalties and interest payable. What is that penalty and what is the interest amount?
Okay. Maybe let me respond. So that we don't forget. And I have been talking, so I will not be responding to all the questions since I've got my colleagues on the ground to assist with that. Let me start at the end. The interest is the interest rate of the country. We will charge you the interest rate of the country around unpaid contributions, and then the pen will charge you interest, which is the running interest rate. Then in the following month, because you still did not pay, we will then charge you interest. We will then charge you a penalty, which is going to be 10% of the interest. Then that is how it's going to roll up until you come through and you pay us. When do you get rejected, or how do you, firstly, if you claim and you are claiming but your reason for termination is resigned, automatically that means you cannot access the benefit, you resign voluntarily. Secondly, you're claiming but the employer says you absconded. We are going to pick up in the system that you absconded, therefore you are not going to receive the funds. Thirdly, you are claiming outside the period. Remember, we give you 12 months within which to come and claim. If you claim outside the 12 months, we are going to reject the application. Why? The reason will be because you did not claim within time. So those are part of the reasons why you will possibly be rejected at the point when you come through to claim. Then other reasons might be because there is missing information. These ones that I'm touching on are going to be straightforward in terms of these are the reasons for rejections. Then from them, whether you want to go through the appeals process to be able to challenge the decision of the UIF, you can do that. But those will be the reasons as to why you were not able to. Then, if at the point when you claim your employer has not declared the fact that you are not working, we cannot process a claim up until the employer declares that this person is indeed not working. So at that point, your claim will not be processed until the employer comes through to submit the declaration, and then we can be able to carry on with the claim and so forth. Some of our clients, they will submit bank accounts that are closed. If you submit a bank account that is closed, you are not giving us a place where to deposit the money. So we are going to then reject the claim up until correct information can be submitted, and then we can be able to carry on in that sense. The presentation will be available, I believe, so that everyone can be able to have that. I don't see Miss. Oh yes, Mr. Mafu. This part of the death claim, maybe I will cover as far as my understanding goes around this, and my team will assist. When beneficiaries come through to claim a death claim, especially if there is no partner. Let us say I did not have a spouse and I did not have a partner that is qualifying to be able to claim this benefit. Then from there, children can be able to come through. But when children are coming through, as a UIF, there is investigation that we're going to do, up to a point that sometimes we will even want to go through bank accounts to check some kind of a transfer, if we can call it like that. If we are not going through bank accounts, we will sometimes even go through policy documents, whether it was those life policies or where, you know, when you were covering your children and all of that. We will go to that level so that we can be able to satisfy ourselves that yes, indeed, there is a relationship between these two individuals for us. So we will not just reject at point blank. We are going to ensure that we look into whatever documents that we can access just for us to confirm that yes, indeed, this is a valid claim and the people that are to receive are indeed correct because they were connected to the deceased while he was alive. That is why the especially for those, let us say maybe you do not have any partner, whether it's a spouse or life partner, and maybe even your children falls into that space, it's always best when you do the nomination form while you are working, maybe over and above the fact that we will expect them, let us also include them in the form. Let's nominate them to say, in a case where I pass on, please share my monies from the UIF with this individual, so that can also be able to support us in terms of that. But if there was a relationship between you and the child or individual, we will go to that level in terms of satisfying ourselves that yes, indeed, we can be able to distribute, or we can be able to disperse the funds with these children or this individual. Thank you. My team will show if they might want to assist in terms of responding to some of these questions, because I do not want to summarize it. I want us to go in detail if we have to. On a monthly basis, we collect 1% from the salaries of employees, meaning that if I am earning 1,000 rands, I think 1% of 1,000 is 10 rands. So that means 10 rand will be deducted from my salary on a monthly basis. And at the time when you come through to claim a benefit, you do not get paid 10 rands per month when you claim the UIF benefit. We will pay ranging from 38% up to 60% in terms of that monthly that calculation. So mathematically speaking, take someone that has worked for 40 years and earning 1,000 rands. I've worked 40 years, I'm earning 1,000 rands, meaning that I've been contributing 10 rands per month to the UIF. And then at the time when he comes back to claim, we are not going to be giving him 10 rands per month, but we'll give him ranging between 380 up to 600 and some change per month. And then as a result, that is how we do that calculation. Because the question would be, if then you are only taking the last 4 years, does that mean I forfeit the other? If you look at it, there is no forfeiture, because take what we collect from you against what we pay to you. And if you look at that, there is a form of a balance in that sense. And also, when in terms of legislation on our side, calculation of benefits means we will take the last 4 years, and that is what we're going to convert it into the benefit. And we pay up to, I think it's 62,000 rands now. We pay up to 62,000 rands in terms of the total benefit for somebody that has worked for that full period of that 4 years or more, and also earning a certain amount, as I explained earlier on. Then if as an individual you pass on, we are not funding a partner, we are not funding children, we are not funding a form, that means automatically we are not going to have anyone to pay these funds to, because there is nobody that we were told to pay. Thank you.
And he drops the mic. I'm going for this. You want to assist him, Morgan?
Yes, sir.
Can we have a mic there, please?
Okay, maybe let me stand and transfer that and see the face of people that they are satisfied. Molweni, let's start with the issue of 4 years. It is, number one, UIF is an insurance. So we have the regulations, rules and regulations that govern the insurance. So, in terms of the calculations of the credits, that is why we say if you have the 4 years or more cycle, we are paying you 365 days. And if you divide this 365 days, it's going to give you 4. Where do we take this 4? We take it to say every 4 days you worked, you get 1 credit days. 4 days, 1 credit days. So it means when you calculate this, the Act says we must pay you shortly for the maximum period of 365 days. That it says we need the 4 years contributions. So if you work for more, for a practical example, everybody here, I believe, unless if situation is abnormal, has the funeral policy or funeral cover. But you cannot say to the funeral cover or funeral policy, I've been contributing for 20 years and nobody died. Because we don't pay for funeral policy to say we want our people to die so that they're going to benefit. We are saying, should any of the members cross the river of death, let me have something to bury my person. So even with UIF, we are saying, in the incidents that you lose the work, short time, let us assist you to maintain life. Is it clearer? Yes. So the issue, another issue that you indicated of the death application is the issue of saying, there's a nomination form. As we, I don't know who's being here, I said, please be it. Every employee, when you apply, is a plea from us. Let the person complete UIF form. You can download it on the website. It's the form that the person nominate the people that should he cross or she cross the river of death, who is going to be the beneficiary if there is no spouse, there is no children, so that the money must not forfeited. We have a lot of money that we cannot pay because somebody says, I'm the beneficiary, there is no wife, or there's no spouse, there are no children, or children are over 24 years, they are independent. We are unable to pay you because there's no UI53 that was signed by the contributor while it was still alive. So as the employers, make sure that all your employees, they completed that form. I think I've assisted. I don't know, Mr. Mafu, assist. Thank you. I wanted to assist on that.
Can we have that form? Okay, while we're waiting for the comms team to load the form onto the screen, I'm going to open for another round of questions. Are there any further questions? Okay. Can I have a mic there? I note you, Data. Okay, the gentleman in front of you, number 1, and Tata behind him. Number 1, number 2. Any further takers for questions? No. Oh, you wanted to assist her?
Just a minute.
Okay, just a quick one.
Morning, everybody. We've got 2 types of children. We've got a minor child that the guardian will assist to apply. And we've got an independent child that was over age and can apply on his or her own. That's what I want to add. Thank you so much.
Okay, let's take the questions here. Okay.
Oh, okay. My question here is the issue of payers and UIF. Is there a way maybe UIF see organize pick up where the company is registered with USARS or okay, let me rather ask it this way. Let's say the company was not meeting the SARS threshold. Then you register for UIF under this platform called OU filing. Then let's say you continue up until your employees they meet the threshold of USARS. Then you migrate from U-filing to USAS, whereby you also register for ePay-as-you-earn. What do you then do with the EU-filing? Because you will receive maybe emails that issue with the compliance order, saying that you should declare, or maybe their interest while you have a profile with SARS. So my question, the first one is there. Then the second one, let's say you have U-filing. Then you register your employees under U-filing. Then you declare on a monthly basis. But on your declaration, you pick up that the calculations made on the U-filing are not tying according to your calculations. Because I believe that you deduct 1% from the employee. Then as an employer, you contribute 1% as well. Then now you see that normal, the calculations are not tying. So those are my two questions. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, greetings, courtesy. I want to believe that Mr. Kumede's presentation was very much articulate. But I just want to know as to whether UIF is a state-owned insurance or is a private insurance, comparing it with PIC and GEPF. Thank you.
Sorry, I just want clarity with regards to these beneficiaries that could claim upon death. If your life partner or spouse is working, are they then still eligible to claim that? And I know we've got the threshold of children. Thanks.
Greetings, everybody. I just want to know how long does this UIF take between employer and employee? Thank you. How long does it take this between employer and employee?
Thank you so much. I think we can respond to this last round so that I can sit down. Maybe let me start at the beginning here, because maybe some of the questions are above my pay grade. In terms of once you employ somebody, I'm responding to the question of pay-as-you-earn. Once you employ somebody ending above the SARS threshold, it's not even a UIF legislation, it's SARS. SARS, automatically the obligation, you need to register immediately, because if you don't, SARS will deal with you accordingly. We won't even be there. However, at the point of registration for pay-as-you-earn, the UIF Act follows that to say, then as a UIF, don't bring your contributions to us anymore as a UIF. From the very first month when you paid your first pay-as-you-earn employee, contributions of UIF for everyone goes to SARS. Then, U-filing should be used for declarations only. Why? Because U-filing does not calculate interest and penalties on unpaid contributions. So it's best then that U-filing, let's declare on U-filing. But when it comes to making payments, let's move out and be able to get accurate calculations, because SARS will do the calculation for you. They will tell you if you've got anything outstanding, they will do everything. If you come to us from the finance side, we are going to do the calculation for you because our calculations are based on, is there anything due, are there any interest, are there any penalties, so that you can be able to pay at that point. Then as a result of that, that means at the point when you register with SARS for pay-as-you-earn, remember that SARS does not take declarations for us, they only take contributions, meaning that whatever registration and declaration of employees with the UIF, it carries on. Even though you get to a point where you stop contributing directly to a UIF and contribute at SARS, but declarations with UIF must not stop. Whether you are using the U-filing system, the electronic declaration system, because you've got a payroll system that does the automatic submission, that must carry on. That must not stop. The only thing that will stop is as a result of registration for pay-as-you-earn, which needs you to change the channel and go and make contributions at SARS. Yes. Is the UIF a state?
Is UIF state-owned or private?
No, I think the answer is in the question. Because the question is saying, is it like Government Employees Pension Fund or PIC? And the answer is yes. It's not like Sanlam or Discovery or Old Mutual, which are private. So they, even though the contributions are coming from us as employees,
Thank you so much. Yeah, you must only speak at your level. Mr. Mafu, the reason I'm coming next to you, there was a question there to say there is a minor child and there are children above the minor age. If those that are above the age are working, are they still eligible to apply? You'll assist with that. In terms of how long, there was that last question, how long does UIF take between employer and employee? As long as there is employment, contribution, registration and contribution with the UIF must be done. It does not matter how old you are. Because actually some of us are still strong. Even after the age of 65, I still carry on working. UIF must be paid because I'm working and I'm receiving an income. Therefore, it has to be contributed. Then at the time when I say, no, let me go and sit with my grandchildren, then UIF must pay me my benefits then because I'm done the working thing. But as long as I'm still working, it does not matter how old I am, UIF must be paid. Mr. Mafu, minors...
In terms of regulations, those that are independent, they must also touch something from the school. So I'll assume that they should be also studying. But again, there's also a nomination form now. If they're nominated, then also they're going to benefit.
Okay, there's another question. I don't know if the issue of the nomination form, here is it on the screen. You can download it in our website. It's called UI53 or nomination form. But on the issue of the schools, as Mr. Mafas indicated, the act is clear. The child must be between 21 and 24. So we don't want your child that is over 26 years will say, I'm still at school and I have to come and apply for the benefits of the Mafada. The UI Act is clear on that part. And another question of saying, if you are working, so both spouses are working, is there anything both spouses or the couple, and one cross the river of death, the one, even if you are working, you must claim the benefits of the late. You are going to be paid that. No matter whether you are working or not, there's the death benefits. It does not matter the state of the employment of the surviving spouse. I wanted to score that point. Thank you very much, Brother.
Okay, colleagues, I think let us do this. We're going to move on to the next presentation, but we are going to be sharing the presentations that have been done here with yourselves. Those of you that provided us with your email addresses, we will share it with you via email. Right. I think that was the last question on the issue of compliance. Spamandla will also be available. He has shared his contact details. So when we have our lunch break, you can also still further engage with him if there's anything further that you would want to know from the compliance side of things. All right, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we'll move on to the next presentation, and it is from Mr. Smiso Nkosi. Are you here, Smiso? Yeah. All right, so please join me here. He's going to speak about who stole the money and how are we following that up. But yeah, he'll tell you about it. Just two quick announcements that I need to make, colleagues, before we proceed. One, there's an evaluation form on your tables. Please do complete it. Tell us how poor or how good we are, or how excellent we are at the work that we do. We want to know so that we can improve. This is also part of our overall service delivery improvement. And the other announcement I need to make is that the Deputy Mayor has sent an apology. The Mayor would unfortunately not be able to make it at all as a result of developments at the municipality, or the council rather, that the Mayor has to respond to. All right. Smiso?
Good morning, everyone. But I think before we start with the presentation, earlier on, Advocate Yawa announced that we have two colleagues who came up with brilliant projects within UIF. So everyone has been asking, what are those projects? So can you please just give them a few minutes to just tell us about the project? So we'll start with Bontle. Bontle, you can come just briefly tell us about the project that you came up with. Let's give him a round of applause.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, sir.
My name is Bontle Mutsweni. I'm from the UIF head office. The project that I entered the competition of, I named that project Project Tsosoloso. It's SAP Tsosoloso. It's centered around the virtualization of records. So all the streamlining of records which were done manually, now it's going to be no longer in a paper format, but more in the digital aspect of things. So that's basically that. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Viva UIF, employer of choice.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we always reward. Then the next one will be Tsepo Mulamo, can come to from Northwest. Round of applause.
Good morning, colleagues. Yeah, my baby is Dipeto. Yeah, I came up with Dipeto project. The reason why I saw it necessary for the project to be called Dipeto, it's precisely on the basis that the department at that point in time wanted to transform to, I had advocate earlier on indicating about the fifth industrial revolution. But this one in particular was for the fourth industrial revolution. On the basis that we are now embarking the Silk Road. I think basically this is an overview why I came up with the name. Thank you.
What does it mean?
Dipeto, it's a Setswana name meaning transformation or changes. So basically you would attest to the fact that majority of the times you only hear about either the Zulu or the Xhosa names. Hence I came up with a Tswana name.
So yours is transformation.
Yes, that's transformation.
Tell us what yours is.
Sorry for not mentioning, as they've already mentioned, we are in the clan of the Xhosas. So mine Tsosoloso means to renew or to revitalize.
Wow.
So that's basically why I named it Tsosoloso.
Thank you very much, colleagues.
Yeah, let's keep those creative juice coming. We are in the era of AI. So in the area of AI, we must move with times. Okay, thank you very much. We'll then go to our presentation. We are talking about what we call follow the money. And maybe let me just give a brief background. What do we mean by that? In 2020, there was lockdown. You all know, UIF came up with a scheme called COVID test. And most of you employers applied for it. I hope everyone applied for it because we had a directive that was compelling employers to apply for it. Now, in the midst of that, then as UIF, the reason we came up with this, as UIF, we then realized, due to the fact that we were pressurized, can I just be mobile? Due to the fact that we were pressurized as UIF from all fears of government to pay quicker, we then compromised some of our internal controls. We must indicate that. We compromised some of our verification controls. Then we said we'll do what we call a post-verification project, where we'll then, after paying you, we'll go and verify whether you pay to the correct employees. That's number one. Number two, AG then ran what we call data analytics on our payment, and they found serious things, shocking things. They found that some of the employers were applying for minors. Someone was applying for his children. Someone will apply for someone who was 12 years of age. All those things. We found to be paid someone who was in prison, deceased people. So then we said, let's come up with this project to follow the money. To follow the money, meaning to check for the COVID terrorist money from UIF bank account to wherever it goes. If it goes to your pocket, we follow it. So that's what the project that we did. So we'll talk to it in a bit now. But let's talk to the next slide. Let's talk to the main objective then of this project. And it needs to be clear. The main objective is to ensure that these funds, they reached intended beneficiaries' pocket, which at the time were vulnerable workers. That's the main purpose of this project. And it's not to recover, right? It's to make sure that these monies reach those beneficiaries. So 5 years later today, when we get to an employer and we do this verification, we call it post-verification, let's follow the money. When we get to your premises and you find you're still keeping those monies, we still insist, pay the employees. That's our first price. You must first pay the employees. Don't bring money back to UIF. It's not ours. It's for the workers. The second objective is to ensure that employers did not misuse or abuse those funds. So those are the main two objectives. What do we do then when we get to you as the employer to do this follow the money verification? We do claims validity to check whether you as the employer exist. You will be surprised. In 2020, all of a Sunday, there were 100 employers that never existed before, never traded before. We checked employment verification, whether those employees that you applied for are indeed working for you. We checked payment verification in terms of where did you really disperse the money accordingly. And also the accuracy of the input data, the information that you gave us, whether you did not overstate. So some are overstating that information. What do you need to prepare as the employers? While if you've been audited, good. If you are not being audited, these are the documents that you need to prepare. It's the payroll reports, bank statements,
employee payslip, and the reconciliation. I've always been asked why reconciliation. It's a requirement on the MOA. If you didn't know, if you check your MOA that you signed when you apply, it's a requirement. You must perform a reconciliation before we can come. Now, this is phase 3. We've done phase 2. We'll talk to it. Now, this is phase 3, and we are going in the back. We've appointed these 27 firms to come and do this work. It's a big work. Remember, we've paid 65 billion. It's not a small fry. We paid it to more than 250,000 employers. So these are the companies. When you see these names, I won't call them, coming, knocking on your doors, you must know you have been following. You have been followed. It's follow the money. It's in on your doors. Now, this is what we want to talk to you about today, for you then to prepare and to know. Why are we talking about this today? Is we want you to already start preparing for these audits or this verification. If you have seen that your claim is not valid, you can start by now returning the money. Before we come in, you can start by now, raise your hand. Because, no, this is okay. Now, the first thing that we are checking is whether COVID test does not exceed your normal income of the employees now, except for the issue of the minimum wage. Minimum wage 3.5, especially at the time, and some of you, which are things that we also check. Some of you were not honest or were not fair to the employees. Your employee, for instance, is earning 2,000 rand per month. As UIF will pay 3.5. But because I don't know whether you are jealous as the employers, you will say, 2,000, I keep 1.5. No, 1.5. Second one, I'm talking to valid claims. I'll go to invalid claims. Your employees that you applied for must be those who were employed prior to the lockdown. You cannot, in April, the lockdown started on the 27th of March 2020. April now, in March you had 20 employees, in April you have 100. It can't be. So where are those employees coming from? So they must be at your employment prior to the lockdown. And they must be active, point number 3. They must be active at the time of the lockdown. Meaning you cannot apply for someone who's on maternity leave. That person is not active again. So you must apply for someone who's active, meaning could have been at the office or wherever, if it's a factory, at the time of the lockdown, not someone who's on maternity. And your employees were not working at the time, not for anything else, due to lockdown. What stopped them from working was lockdown, nothing else. So those are the employees that would have said they qualify. 2 important issues you must have declared for them and also contribute for them at the time of the application. So this is bad news, invalid claims. Now, some of the employers, maybe some of you or maybe not, were deducting UIF from UIF. Yes, you receive COVID tests, you see deductions UIF. It can't be. So those are the things that we're also checking whether you're deducted. Some of you will receive approved employees in terms of payment. You apply for 10 employees, UIF only approve 5. Sometimes it's based on your goodness of your heart. You paid everyone, the whole 10. It's wrong. It might be right, but it's wrong. You don't know why UIF declined the 5. You don't know why, but you decide to pay the whole 5. So it means you then took funds for the other 5 to try and make it required. It's wrong. So you must only pay those who are approved by UIF so that you reconcile. Some of you were giving this money and tell employees this is low. COVID tells man, say, yeah, it's a low. Doesn't mean a valid one. We coming from. We spoke about minimum wage issue, shorter paying the employees, paying them less than what they've been paid by UIF. Some of you were paying or were applying for employees who were working. The principle of COVID tells through that